Hello everyone, Turner Burner here with another video for you guys. I am going to go over my Gatekeepers run as Nomad. I'm not sure exactly when I'm going to release this video, but when I did this, I actually wanted to do this when the map first came out, but I couldn't figure out the adequate strategy to get it done, and I didn't also at that time I didn't have the right combination of cards to get it done. But as you get better over time, long story short, you figure out certain things that you didn't figure out before. So. What I'm going to do at the beginning of this video is go over each individual skill card on why I used it, and then I'm going to go into the video as a whole. So, Armored Shot, that's one of the skill cards I use. Simply stated, I used it because that is the only way I'm going to kill the Swarmak. The gist of it is, and the tricky part of this card is, you get 60% bleeding damage with all ballistics while you have stem. On Master, it can be difficult to maintain stem. So it's very important that somehow, some way, when I'm facing the Swarmak, I not only maintain stem, but don't get hit by the Swarmak during that whole process of trying to kill it. So that's the tricky part of having this card, but you need it regardless. Execution shield, just in case I get in a situation where I need to execute something for survivability. And also, this is how I get my stem in the first place. So I have 100% damage resistance while I'm executing an enemy, and I gain stem, which allows this card to be in effect. Phase puts nearby enemies in fear if I need that, crowd control for 12 seconds. That could help if there's too many elite drones, too many juvies. And I'm also thinking, forward thinking, towards the LZ. If a bunch of juvies or elite drones rush the LZ, I can execute one and put everything else in fear. So I'm thinking about, different situations. When you go into regular runs or solo runs, you got to think of different situations that are going to best serve the most amount of situations, if that makes sense. I guess a better way to phrase it is um, think of the map before you do it, and then pick the card pick the card combinations that's going to serve you in the most amount of situations. I think is a better way to phrase it. So phase, put nearby enemies in fear. Acceleration is very important, and in conjunction with consecutive shot, these two cards are extremely important. And I actually leveled this one up to 6 for the sake of handling the gatekeepers. Here's why. Acceleration, 30% extra damage at long range. Consecutive shot, consecutive critical hits increase damage 33%, each up to 200%. Those scions on the gatekeepers not only have more health, but essentially have damage resistance. Let me explain. So a regular sniper bullet that's active on another map may do like 7,800 damage. On the gatekeepers, it's like 4,800 damage. And then on top of that, they have like I think 3 times as much health as a scion on a regular map or something of that nature. So you're gonna need you can't have normal amount of damage when handling the scions or whatever RNG you pick. You can't have a normal amount of damage as far as relative to another map. You need to have, for the gatekeeper specifically, you need to have characters that are efficient killers that can kill multiple enemies at once, or can bleed enemies pretty quickly, because the venom is actually pretty fast. And not to mention, you're not going to get any help from the venom. On the gatekeepers, the venom does no damage to the enemies. Nothing. But it does all the damage to you. So you're not like immune to damage from the gatekeepers. So you also have to factor that in. So you have to be efficient in the gatekeepers, because the venom's going to catch you and you're going to get no help from the venom. So acceleration and consecutive shot. If I'm dealing with a scion or a bastion from a distance, and you'll see that in the video. Acceleration will allow me to do more damage at a long range. An armored shot is going to allow me to do bleed damage on top of that, as long as I maintain stem. So consecutive shot allows me to do. I believe I was able to one or two shot DR1s. We'll see in the video because it builds up with consecutive critical hits. So all in all, can be a tricky solo if you're unable to maintain stem and be efficient in certain sections. So let's get right into it. Okay, now that you know the skill cards of the video, we can get right into it. So there's a Lancer right off the bat, which is very good to have for quick executions on juvies or whatever. Um, the weapon of choice I'm going to go with is sniper because it just works better relative to the cards I'm using. I think I dropped my Lancer here, so I don't load the Lancer and then have to empty it out. Just to touch on for people that are newer to the channel, for the most part, except for some situations that actually happen in this very video, for the most part, it's ideal to empty your Lancer so you don't accidentally reload when you're trying to chainsaw. For the most part, you'll see in this video why it's good to have Lancer bullets sometimes, but for the most part, it's a good practice to not have too much ammo in your Lancer. All right, so I open it up. I get the ammo. I make sure I load up completely. I even get no, I actually don't get the shot grenade. I thought I did. So you get 11 sniper bullets if you load up completely with the sniper. Now I only have, as opposed to like 400, I have 50 Lancer. So my first shot is a miss, and I try to hit that drop shot sign. So something I touched on in another, actually let me get a better angle, in another Gatekeepers tutorial is that little doorway. If you cross the doorway, you trigger the other enemies, whether it's elite grenadiers, juvies, whatever. You trigger them as well. It's best that you handle the Gatekeepers first, whether it's the two Scions or or at least in most cases, it's better to do it that way. It's better to handle the Gatekeepers first and then handle the next set of enemies. Because ultimately, if you're, except for exception of a few characters, if you're handling all those enemies at once, it could be hard. It could be overwhelming. It could be overwhelming to deal with if you're handling, multiple grenadiers, a Mulcher Scion, a Salvo Scion. So it's good to just pace yourself when you're handling this solo, because the Gatekeepers are also more lethal, so that could down you very quickly. So handling the Gatekeepers first is always my solution to this map. So I wait till the drop shot sign gets near me. I empty the Lancer because that's just a practice I've always done. So I already shot the drop shot sign once. I don't think there's a time expiration for a consecutive shot as long as you just headshot right on your next bullet, but I don't really know that for a fact. So a regular. Okay, here's another shot. That was huge damage. So he's almost dead after just 4 shots. And now just one more and he's gone. So that's consecutive shot and acceleration for you. Well, stacked together, that can knock out a Scion in only 6 bullets as opposed to taking like 11 bullets if you were another character. So since I'm Paduk, I want to use Fear and bleed damage to kill the pouncers. So I trigger everything else, and it's just my job to maintain stem and then every so often use Fear. Hold on, let me pause it and then talk. So I trigger everything else with the 2 Gatekeepers, not to contradict what I said earlier, but it's because of the class. So this class, I need the bleed damage for the pouncers, or at least that's what I choose to do to kill the pouncers. And this particular spawn is a spawn I really don't care for because there's more enemies because of the elite grenadiers. The elite grenadiers come with 4 juvies, or I think it's it's two sets of enemies. The two Elite Grenadiers come with a couple of juvies, and then there's another set of Elite Grenadiers that come with more juvies. So there's more work involved, and it's less efficient, but it wasn't worth restarting because I can just chainsaw all the enemies involved. And because Elite Grenadiers are more aggressive than drones, that is okay in that regard because Elite Grenadiers are always going to push. They're not going to take cover or wait for you to come after them. So what I do in this room is I try to maintain stem and execute all the enemies while trying to kill the gatekeepers, which in this case is the 2 pouncers remaining. So I'm kind of annoyed with the pouncer, but I get him off me. I use my fear just to get some space. I don't have stem now, so I can't shoot the pouncer. The Elite Grenadier's there, so I chainsaw him. And now I just try to chainsaw my way to victory, essentially. And there's Elite Grenadiers throwing flashes, which is always wonderful and not annoying at all. But yeah, just keep chainsawing. There's really not much to this section. But the main thing is maintaining stem and not killing all the juvies too quickly due to the fact that I may need to get more stem from them. So anytime I it's kind of like it's I don't want to call it misdirection. I don't know what the specific word for it is, but basically, if I just have 2 pouncers remaining and I have stem, that is a very precarious situation due to the fact that if I just have the 2 pouncers remaining and they knock off the stem, I have no way to regain stem because I'm not running lifeline. That would be the only way to gain stem without an execution. Outside of picking up a stem pack, which is not in this map. But so what I do is I try to chainsaw one juvie, put a nearby juvie in fear, and then shoot a pouncer. And as the pouncer's in fear, and then if I run out of stem again, I go back to another juvie. So now that I'm talking about it, the Grenadier spawn actually works in my favor because there's more enemies to execute and more juvies to execute. So anyway. So I don't needlessly chainsaw that juvie, or 2 juvies, I say. I make sure I kill the pouncer. Now I ran out of stem again, or ran out of I lost my stem again. So what I do is I put the pouncer in fear for about 12 seconds, and I try to kill him. But then there's a juvie right here that I need to chainsaw, which I don't think it puts the pouncer in fear. No, it doesn't. So I have 2 more juvies to deal with and a pouncer to deal with as well. So just 2 more enemies. So that is how I maintained my stem. Not executing all the juvies immediately, just making sure the last enemy remaining is a juvie. So or an Elite Grenadier would suffice as well. So now I go into the next section with stem, which is very critical due to the fact that there's bastions. So the acceleration combined with the armor shot is going to knock out those bastions quick, which is kind of nice. I'm not super worried about Lancer ammo at this point because I know I'm likely not to chainsaw anything because I'm just going to deal with the DR1s, the 3 DR1s and the 2 bastions. So I don't need to worry about chainsawing the Peacemakers or the Deadeyes because I'm not even going to trigger them because I'm not going to walk past this door. So, unfortunately, the Bastion behavior is always very, very irritating, but luckily I'm able to hit one, get him in 1 shot, which is pretty sweet because of acceleration and armor shot. And I think I get this one in 2 shots, possibly. So 2 shots for a Bastion. So this Oppressor probably would have only taken 2 shots, but I really didn't want to lose my stem to the other Oppressor. So I decided to back up. So I back up some more. So because it doesn't take long for the gatekeepers to knock off your stem and ruin your run. So you got to be careful here. So headshot 1. I do a non-active on another one. I do another non-active, unfortunately. But anyway, so 1 is coming up the stairs. I take cover here to hopefully line up a good shot that's active and not get my stem knocked off. So I get 1 more shot off, and then I run away so I can keep my stem. So that's how I handle the two bastions and the two DR1s. Just taking cover, not getting my stem knocked off, and that's pretty much it. I could have used fear if I needed to, but it didn't come up. So this is very irritating with the DR1 because the venom is starting to creep up a little bit. This Devastator that's coming late. I wish he came sooner, but he comes in at a good time to where I can kill him rather quickly. Then when I kill him, I'm across that doorway and just go straight to the safe room. So just two-shotting DR1s is pretty sweet. I think consecutive shot was in effect there as well because of the previous enemy that died. So not much to it. I've maintained my stem, which will be good for the next section if I happen to get a matriarch. But ultimately, all you do is trigger everything and then run to the door. I think a part of me at this point, because I believe if I'm going off memory, I try to empty my Lancer. I should have just dropped it. I totally forgot that there's Lancer afterwards. But so for the next, I don't know, hopefully not too long, you'll see me empty my Lancer. So I use, I try to bleed out that Peacemaker and Deadeye. And once I realized that my stem could get knocked off in the situation, I just shut the door. So that's pretty much it for the first act. If you have questions on the first act, pause the video, leave a comment down below. So this next act, I decide the only weapons I'm not going to be sniping anything. I've already predetermined that. I'm only going to be using my Lancer for the execution and to regain lost stem or to phase nearby enemies. And I'm only going to use Boom Shot because I'll have roughly anywhere between, going off memory, 7 to 8 Boom Shot shots on the Swarmak, depending on the Boom Shot ammo RNG. So in this spawn, luckily I was able to get the Snatcher. So that speeds things up immensely due to the fact that I can just chainsaw the Snatcher and virtually skip the next section. And I'll go over that more in detail later on. So I just go down this ladder. There's really not much to this section. So everything the Gatekeepers is about, trigger points. So you don't want to cross the doorways that you open because typically they trigger other stuff. I got very fortunate with this boom shot spawn. As you can see, it's right in front of me, so that's kind of nice. I also was very fortunate to get the Snatcher because the Matriarch takes so long to kill, slows things way down, and when it comes down to solo runs, you want to look for every advantage you can get. Honestly, if I got the Matriarch, I might have restarted it. I don't know because she does slow down the game a lot, and it's going to take me a long time to kill the Swarmak. So what I do is try to chainsaw like I did with Clayton, but for some reason it was much harder this time around. And for some reason I wasn't able to chainsaw the Snatcher in the same spot. I actually crossed the doorway to chainsaw the Snatcher. So the Snatcher can be BS as well. Luckily, I have Execution Shield, so if he starts to stomp, it doesn't even matter because I'm going to stay alive because I have Execution Shield. So I get the Boom Shot, which I got, 3 bullets out of, which is nice. And I just try to get to the other room. But first, I don't have any stem. Lost it with the Snatcher. So I try to gain stem by executing Elite Drone specifically as opposed to Elite Sniper. And then I just run to the room. So here's a trick with the Gatekeepers everyone must know if you're going to solo this map. If you kill everything in this room, you'll have to kill everything in the next room. If you skip things in this room, you'll be able to skip things in the next room. If you look at my Lonnie Blade Master solo run on this map, I have like 90 some kills, and that's due to the fact that I killed all the elite drones, I killed the boss, and I killed every single juvie. When that happens, the very next room, everything will spawn like normal. A way to kind of beat the system is if you skip the enemies in this room before they spawn, you're not going to get every enemy that it should spawn in the next area. So like the first set of enemies is just elite drone, elite sniper in this spawn. And then the juvies come after it if I stay in this room. So that's a little trick that if you compare the Gatekeeper solo run and then and some of my other solo runs as Paduk, Clayton, Blade Master, if you compare those, you'll be able to see the difference between like, in this one I think I got 29 kills, and then the Blade Master one I got 90. And that's due to the fact that well, with Blade Master you have to wait for Venom anyway, so you're at the mercy of Venom speed. So you're in a position where you have to kill everything. But the bottom line is the principle of it is you can't really skip you can't skip spawns with Blade Master because you'd be forced to go outside of the Venom. You can skip spawns with Nomad though because you have no Venom reliance. At least that's my experience and what I'm trying to say. If you have questions on that, because I know I can get overly technical, comment down below and let me know. So I shut the door. As you can see, no juvies come. And then I don't know why I'm not shutting the door now. I'll shut the door. And that is pretty much it. So now I have maintained stem. Not much stem because there's a lead drone hit me from a distance, but just enough to get this done. So the first order of business is to get as many blisters as I can with the boom shot. That is the first step. As many blisters as I can with the boom shot. And I had a similar strategy with so I paused there for a second, and in my plan I don't think worked. I was trying to get the poppers to come before the Swarmak, but they weren't coming fast enough, so I just decided to go back out there. You have to be outside of the supply room to get this Swarmak to come forward. So there's no other way to get the Swarmak to come forward towards you. So the Swarmak's coming forward towards me, and I have 3 poppers to deal with, which is really risky when you're dealing with a stem-reliant build, which is what I have right now. So also dealing with the Swarmak is risky because one little shot can knock off your stem. Fortunately enough for this run, it worked out. So the Swarmak's coming. Make sure to get some quick shots, very quick shots. And something they did with Operation 5 is enemies sway back and forth, which is really irritating to watch. So you'll see the Swarmak for the next minute or so rotate back and forth. And I'm not entirely sure why. It's very annoying to see. So here's the key position that you see right now. You see that? The Swarmak really can't hit me, but I can hit its whole upper body. So if you're not going to get all the blisters because of the class you're using, it's ideal to use Ballistic Bleed on any part of the body, or just ballistic damage in general would work on any part of the body to finish off the Swarmak. I did that with Anchor a very long time ago, but I used the exact same principles with Paduk. And you're about to see why right here, why it's important to be really efficient in that first section as either, Anchor or Paduk, because you need a lot of time, and it takes a long time to kill the Swarmak because of the nature of this particular class. Alright, so it's doing that sway thing, which is super annoying, but, it is what it is. So I try to get more blisters. I get nervous because I almost got shot there. And then I do 2 shots on its front blister, so I'm taking some damage off. Making sure my shots are active so I can do the most amount of damage. Making sure I don't get hit. And then that might have been my last shot. I don't know if there's any more reds in here. So right now, all I got to do is be patient, not get shot by one of the missiles, and use Ballistic Bleed to bleed out the Swarmak. So I don't think the Swarmak is too close, so the acceleration should be in effect right now. So acceleration in combination with armor shot is why the Swarmak is bleeding at the pace it's bleeding. You can compare my Anchor solo to this solo to see who does more damage in this, in relative context. But I think it's similar damage per Boltok bleed. So something I really wish I did in the beginning was use Lancer bullets to kill the Swarmak, but I was so on autopilot because I did something similar with Anchor that I'm just using Bolt Talk because it's stronger on a per bullet basis. So anyway, I don't actually I figured out incidentally that I could use Lancer when I picked up that ammo pack, but I still use Bolt Talk because old habits die hard. So as you can see, look at the Venom. So the Venom isn't necessarily like on top of me, overwhelming me, but it's right there. It's pretty close. So if I have to deal with all the elite drones, all the juvies, that slows me down for this section. So it's important for me to be efficient. That way I can get to the next section and be able to calmly, if for lack of a better word, calmly dissect the Swarmak before it eventually just bleeds out. So just doing a couple more shots as the Swarmak annoyingly, goes back and forth and back and forth. So ballistic damage is still working in my effect. You just got to make sure I'm maintaining my stem. But there's really not much to this area. Make sure I shoot active bullets. Make sure I don't get my stem knocked off. And then I have an epiphany that I could use Lancer. So because I was running out of Bolt Talk really. So, but if I used the Lancer the whole time, maybe this section would have went faster. But it is what it is. A win's a win is what I like to say. So as you can see, the bleed damage working in my favor, and it is melting the Swarmak relatively quickly. Since it is Lancer, it's only so good if you're not Marcus. So Swarmak's almost dead, and Swarmak is now dead, and the Venom is now on top of me. So at this point, it's just a matter of the execution portion of my build. I'm using phase and execution shield. I've realized this game is basically over because of my experience on the end and much harder context. I did onslaught and things of that nature. So all I got to do, because I don't have terror and I don't have Bolt Talk stun, so I have flashes if necessary. Can't chainsaw an elite drone, but I'll have plenty of elite snipers to chainsaw, and I should have plenty of juvies. Possibly elite grenadiers. I'm just going off memory. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see here shortly. So, game's pretty much over because I do have my ability. I have flashes, and everything's not going to spawn because I skipped the previous section. So, all it is at this point is chainsawing myself to victory and keeping some enemies off of me. Not much to this last section, but you see something, you chainsaw it. Keep that juvie alive just in case I need it for phase. I don't need to rush out and kill it immediately. Also, I don't want to get, blind fire by elite snipers if I don't need to. So sometimes you have to time your executions. You don't need to kill everything immediately. Maybe you need to save something for later. I'm getting peppered by an elite drone from a distance, so I pop my ult because I'm not sure how close he is. And that's pretty much it, guys. Just a couple more executions, a couple more elites make it outside. Elite Grenadier not in fear. Could have ended the game, but doesn't, fortunately enough. But that's pretty much it. So you're just going to see a couple more chainsaws. Execution shield, phase. That's all that's happening right now. Not much to it. Thank you guys for watching. Let me know what you think of this solo run. And if you have questions on what I discussed in this solo run, let me know. As always, thanks for listening. And you guys have a good one. Also, I leave you with this. As of yesterday, what's today's date? It's March 18th. But as of earlier this morning on my side, in my time zone, I was able to finish my goal of knocking out each class, all 18 classes on the line. My next thing, and I was talking about it with someone else someone else that does solo runs. They mentioned, because I mentioned in passing that Nomad on all the maps. I forget which one of us mentioned, but anyway, I'm considering doing Nomad on all the escape hives. I've done most of the harder ones, like the split, the end, Gatekeepers, obviously. The Mist is reasonably a good challenge. Ice Queen's not hard, but the other three I mentioned are good challenges. But would you guys be interested in seeing that? Just comment below. Let me know that as well. Again, as always, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching, guys. Thanks for your support. You guys have a good one. Peace.